Hi crafty friends, and welcome to my first video of 2021. It's Donna here in Japan, and today I have a card for you using the gorgeous baby blue embossing folder from Paper Rose Studio. This folder would be gorgeous to use just on its own, but today I want to add a little bit of colour to my background. There are two ways I could do this. I could ink blend directly onto the paper, and then the whole design would have an equal amount of ink. But I would really like to have the leaves standing out as less coloured than the background. So what I'm going to do is ink up the embossing folder very gently. I'm using 3 colours of distress oxides, antique linen, tumbled glass and peeled paint. When I'm ink blending on paper, I often use the blender brushes these days. But for this job, I don't want something that's going to go down into the cracks and crevices. I want a flat surface so that I can very lightly ink just the very top, and that's what I'm doing here. Rather than rubbing, I'm just gently twisting my ink blender tool so that the background has colour on it, but the indents where the leaves are going to be don't. Now I want the colour to kind of move around a bit on the paper, so what I'm doing is spritzing the paper with clean water. If I put the water straight onto the embossing folder, that ink's going to run down into the leaves, so I'm just doing it on the paper. Then I'm really carefully laying the paper down on the side that doesn't have the ink so that I don't shift it around. Once I'm happy with where it's lined up, I close the embossing folder and run that through my die cutting machine. And here's the resulting panel. I was perhaps a little bit heavier handed with my spritzing than I could have been, so I do have a bit of colour on those leaves, but there's still a definite distinction between the leaves and the spaces between them. This embossed panel is so gorgeous that I really don't want to cover up too much of it. So what I'm going to do is trim it down to be just smaller than my card base and then add a sentiment. The sentiment today is in 2 parts. The first part says sending. It's a die that has both the word and also a background. I've cut the background from vellum and the word sending from metallic gold cardstock. You'll notice that I stuck the little dot above the I on as soon as I cut that out because I lose those all the time. The second part, the word prayer, comes from the So Extra supporting sentiments from Paper Rose, and these are designed to work with the script dies. Paper Rose has a whole series of script dies with individual words. I have a couple in my stash at the moment and a couple more hopefully winging their way to me as we speak. And these supporting sentiments work with them so that you can put a range of different sentiments on your card. It's a great way to stretch your dies. I've used my trimmer to cut the black sentiment up, and then using a Memento Tuxedo Black marker, I'm just working my way around the outside so that you can't see the white core of the card. Whenever I do this, I always hold the main body of my pen on the back of the paper. And the reason is that I am a little prone to slipping, and if I'm holding it this way and I slip, I only scribble on the back of my piece of card, not on the front. This panel has taken a little bit of water and I don't want it to warp, so as well as putting my foam tape around the outside of the panel, I'm also just placing a little piece in the middle so that the middle doesn't collapse. To adhere the sentiment, I'm putting the tiniest little dots of glue that I can possibly manage onto the back of the word sending. I'm trying to have none of the glue spread out to where there's only vellum, because vellum really shows up any adhesive that's sticking out. You'll notice that when I stuck the original word sending to the vellum, I used my finger to spread the glue so that none would squish out on the front. Finally, I've added a few sequins. I've done these from top left to bottom right because that's the way our eye naturally flows because we're used to reading in that direction. Perhaps since I'm living here in Japan at the moment, I should be thinking about putting them the other way too, because the traditional Japanese way of reading is from top right to bottom left. If you've enjoyed this video, please let me know by pressing the little thumbs up button. If you'd like to see more card making videos, press the subscribe button and you won't miss out. Thanks for joining me today, everybody. Stay safe.